Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, welcome to the Bulldog Show. As always, we're sponsored by Deters Law, Parks Yoga, and we always like to promote all our platforms out there that we're on. Folks, I've been getting a lot of wonderful messages from all of you because you like my commentary on items. I'm not going to disappoint you ever, and I'm certainly not going to disappoint you today. It's truly amazing what's going on in this country. Our top story on the one-year anniversary of the Russian invasion of Ukraine is China releases a 12 points in order to end this war. Now, let's analyze this briefly and quickly and concisely. Well, we know that China's on Russia's side. So what they're up to here, in my humble opinion, is they are concerned that Russia's going to lose. So therefore, they have to, maybe if we can make peace here, it's not a loss for Russia. China probably sees the writing on the wall because of the weapons that we continue to provide to the Ukrainians. I want to point out something now, because Biden is scoring these points as a warmonger, like the defender of the Ukrainians to the end and blah, blah, blah. And I just want to remind you again, and I can't believe I'm the only one that talks about this. Biden wanted the war. All the things that he could have done to avoid Ukraine being desolate, he didn't do because he wanted the war. It's sickening. It is sickening. And I've been watching these pictures of Ukrainian towns and cities completely devastated. What's it going to cost to rebuild it all? You know who's loving this war? By the way, not the United States soldier, of course, at least they're not there, but the military defense establishment, the makers of the bombs. They're loving it. They're loving it. All right, Alex Murdaugh trial. I'm going to take a little bit of time on this. First off, last night I watched the documentary about this because I paid attention to the news, but the documentary puts it together, and they paint a picture of a very screwed up man and a screwed up family and some screwed up kids. And it's, I didn't realize about the Stephen Smith murder, then the housekeeper murder, and so forth and so on. But I want to talk about the trial. Remember what I've told many of you over and over again is the fact that the jury wants to hear from the defendant. They do. They want to hear from the defendant. And if you're innocent, you should always want to testify and shout it from the mountaintops. Now, there are guilty people that testify thinking that they could change things. But if you're innocent, you should always testify. Always. I don't care what lawyers say, oh, they can get tripped up. No. Juries want to hear from you. And they don't expect you to be perfect, but they'll know whether you're telling the truth. Now, I want to tell you something about yesterday's testimony, which I caught a lot of it while I was working the office. Just so you know, in my office, I have a television on Fox News all the time. And I want to let you know that under direct examination and cross-examination so far, Alex Murdaugh is doing great. Now, it might be because he's such a damn good liar, he's able to just testify about anything. But he did a really good job explaining some things and also taking away the motive front, basically claiming that he had plenty of real estate equity to borrow against, and his wife would be better off, it would be easier to do it while she was alive than dead. His emotion, this guy must be a hell of an actor to pull off the very appropriate emotion describing finding his son's head blown off and his brain on a sidewalk. Very, very interesting. But we do have some evidence relative to the phone, the video of Alex. Was that or was that not Alex's voice caught on video that was taken by his son Paul, who was murdered? That's the big issue. But Murdaugh's testimony so far has been very good for him. We'll see what comes out of it. All right, I love this. The pizza shop now hiring non-stupid people. That is so simple. And the reason why people are admiring this and catching hold is because they are gutsy enough to say what so many employers are afraid to say. I mean, talk to employers out there. They just want a warm body that shows up on time who's not stupid. Folks, at Deters Law, over the past several years, we've tried to hire some young people fresh out of law school, and I'm telling you right now, they had no business, quote unquote, representing anybody practicing law. I mean, they're not training these folks. I mean, I'm just saying, trying to find non-stupid people is a real problem. I like that pizza shop. It's funny. All right, next topic I threw in late. This was an add-on. Fox News is so disappointing. They refuse to allow Donald Trump to be interviewed. In my opinion, that is disgusting. When they made their living on Donald Trump, they made their ratings on Donald Trump, they fell all over themselves for that Trump interview. Now they won't have Trump on Fox News. In addition to that, it is clear as day they are promoting DeSantis like gushing little school kids. I've watched the interviews of DeSantis on it. I mean, it's like ridiculous. They really, really, really disappoint me. Now, the good news for Trump is he doesn't need them. He doesn't need them. Why? Because he's got Newsmax, he's got all the other alternative news, and he's got his own platforms. And he's got loyal supporters like me. I can watch Fox News and ignore all that crap. I'm for Trump. But they just make you want to puke. Fox News is bleh. All right, Marianne Williamson, she's an author, ran for president in 2020. She's going to run for president again as a Democrat. Kind of bizarre, but who cares? I'm just glad Joe Biden has an opponent. Buttigieg, he comes to East Palestine and says he's going to think about whether or not he should have came earlier. Look at this guy. Lightweight city. It has nothing to do with him being gay, although it's terrible that the way he got his job was being gay. This is the best that you could find to lead our transportation cabinet. I beat him up enough yesterday. North Korea's firing missiles. Firing missiles, testing missiles. Nobody's paying attention. Folks, let me remind you of something. Barack Obama told Donald Trump, as he handed off the baton to the presidency, the number one outside threat for the United States to deal with is North Korea. That's what Obama tells him. What does Trump do? Handles it well. Handles it well. Backs up the little tyrant. What has Joe Biden done? Nothing. Nothing. Let them do whatever they want. Joe Biden, as I said, is a disgrace. MasterCard. Joe Biden has nominated this guy, A.J. Bonga, who's the head of MasterCard, to be the new president of the World Bank. What? What? I thought Joe Biden was anti-credit card companies. It just tells it's all political BS from this guy. Last but not least, I'm going to beat up on Joe Rogan. Generally like Joe Rogan normally, although he's already, he's for DeSantis too, not for Trump after Trump. See, it's so wrong that Trump did all that he did for this country, endured all that he did unfairly, and people want to abandon him. I think that's just BS. This guy trashed the American eagle. The American eagle's a badass bird, and he trashed it as a cold killer. He compared like the eagle as good representative of the United States. He kind of trashed our country. Back her off, Joe Rogan, trying to play to his woke employer, Spotify. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Coming up next, local news. Stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, the American jury and Bulldog Nation, welcome to Bulldog TV Local News. As always, we're sponsored by Deters Law, Parks Yoga, and check us out on all of our platforms. And let's get right to it. Well, the lead story is good old Mayor Pete came to East Palestine. Finally made his appearance. He did acknowledge he probably should have expressed concern sooner for the toxic emergency that unfolded. Good old Pete. Are you kidding me? Long crime. Blue Ash man Robert Hogan III is facing a rape count that involves a 13-year-old girl. The girl told police that Hogan engaged in sexual contact since she was 8 years old. Hogan home's been searched. Police say additional charges could follow. Death penalty. Police are investigating a shooting involving a high school student in Bond Hill on Thursday. The shooting didn't happen on the campus of Woodward High School, but the school was still temporarily locked down. No suspect has been identified. The victim was listed in serious condition. In local news, sad story. A Cincinnati family's Myrtle Beach vacation ended tragically this week. 2-year-old Baron Mitchell Jr. died from a drowning accident at the family's vacation rental. The toddler wandered into an inlet on the property as the family was packing to leave. An unidentified woman was struck and killed by a train Thursday morning in Fort Thomas. Police found the woman's body at Mary Ingalls Highway near Riverside Marina. The city of Cincinnati is implementing some new solutions to help keep pedestrians safe on the streets. A new walking signal system has been installed in some of the busiest intersections. The new signal gives pedestrians a 3 to 7 second head start before vehicles are given a green light. 3 seconds, go! Kentucky state news. Lawmakers are trying again to introduce legislation that would legalize sports betting in the state of Kentucky. Look at this. You wonder why I support it? 6 of the 7 states that border Kentucky now have legalized wagering on sporting events. Representative Michael Meredith has filed House Bill 551 in hopes of moving the legislation forward. Our problem is our Kentucky lawmakers will not stand up to the churches. They just don't. A recent Kentucky bill suggesting a health care workforce fund was easily passed on Thursday by a House committee. The fund would dedicate 65% of the fund for medical scholarships and 35% would be directed to job incentives. The bill will not receive funding this year, but will establish a framework for a dedicated future amount. In Ohio State news, railroads are pushing back on potential regulations being proposed in the Ohio. See, what happens is you get bad law that comes out of these bad facts. That's what happens. Some new changes include camera sensors, detection systems, and staffing requirements. And in sports, FC Cincinnati will take on Houston Dynamo FC in the club's first ever home openers at TQL Stadium on Saturday. They're ranked in the top 10. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Coming up is Spin Spendley on World News.
Happy Friday, Bulldog Nation. Today's top stories. UK's Prime Minister leads a national minute silence a year after Russia's full-scale invasion. This comes as King Charles condemns Russia's attack and praises the courage of the Ukrainian people. This has become the worst war in Europe since World War II. A Kenyan convicted in a trial linked to the murder of a British man has been freed from prison after a decade-long campaign to overturn his conviction. The wife of the murdered man says Ali Kalolo is innocent. Imagine spending 10 years in prison for a crime you never committed. Wow. An unmanned space capsule has been launched from Kazakhstan to help bring home 3 astronauts on the International Space Station after their original return capsule was damaged by a meteor. Their return home is expected to be sometime in September. Netflix has cut prices in more than 30 countries as an attempt to attract more customers in parts of Asia, Europe, Latin America, and also parts of Africa. And in sports, Manchester United beat Barcelona last night 2-1 to advance to the next round of the Europa League. And Britain's Andy Murray reached the semi-final of the Qatar Tennis Open. I hope you all have a brilliant day and a fantastic weekend. Until Monday, take care.